Hello everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing great as usual. I'm back with yet another exciting video. I guarantee it. If you keep following my videos, you'll be taking one step towards becoming a badass developer. In today's video, we are going to cover everything related to typing in Python. I guarantee it. After seeing it completely, you will never need anything or any other video related to typing in Python. And I've tried to break it into smaller pieces and I've tried to explain it as easily as possible. 8 levels of using type hints in Python to make your program more readable and easier to debug. Dynamic typing, which means that the type of a variable is determined only during runtime, makes Python flexible and convenient. However, in case of other languages such as Java, C and C++, we have to define the type of a variable earlier itself. However, every coin has two sides. Messy typing of variables is usually the root of hidden bugs. Robust programs should be type safe. Therefore, Python provides the typing hint feature since version 3.5. This feature is a good trade-off. It merely provides hints instead of changing Python into a static typing language. But it can make your Python programs more readable for other developers, type safer to avoid hard to find bugs, provide more information for modern IDEs, automatic code completion. IDEs can help you check the potential bugs with the help of type hints. Let's see why it can make your programming life easier. So now we are in our VS Code. So let's look at the following function. The function has an argument called data. You know it should be a string, but when you need to use some built-in method for a string, the IDE, VS Code in this case, can't give you any clue. It's reasonable because the IDE doesn't know what the type of the data variable is, which is string obviously, that we wanted. We need to add a hint here. To add the hint, you just need to add colon and the type of variable that you want to make it. So in this case, str, which is a string. So now look at the magic. Now that we told IDE that we want this data variable as string. So if I click on data dot and if I see the suggestions, now my IDE will give all the string methods that are available in Python by default. This makes our programming experience happier. If we forgot a special string method of Python, we mostly don't need to Google it since VS Code will help display all choices for us. Now let's deep dive into more tricks about type hints in Python. Fundamentally, when we define a variable, we can add the colon and type suffix after its name to give it a type hint. So in this example, I've taken name of type string, age, int, and yeah, you can see it. But important thing is, as mentioned before, these are just hints and not mandatory rules. If you break it, everything will be still okay. However, it's a bad practice and the IDE will remind you. For example, here age is defined as integer and I'm assigning that integer to a string, so my IDE is throwing an error that there's something wrong with it, so you better check it. But if you still run and compile it, it is going to work, so there's nothing wrong with it. Define a constant using final type. Python doesn't have an internal mechanism for constants. In practice, we usually name a constant in all caps to separate it from other variables. Since Python supports the type hints now, we can make this clearer through the final type. To use this final type, we need to import it from typing module and use it as a type. And in this case I've added it for the pi colon final. Multiple type hints to one variable. I know you might be thinking that there will be couple of cases wherein a particular variable can have different types of inputs. So basically a variable can be of type integer at times and can be of float. Then how do we tell ID regarding this? So we have a solution for that as well using union. So if you want to tell the IDE that this variable can be of type integer or float, you can use the union if your Python version is earlier than if your Python version is earlier than 3.10. But after the release of 3.10, there's a much neater and quicker way of doing this. The same thing can be done: data colon int pipe and then float equal to 3.4. It's as easy as that, guys. I love it. Use general type-ins. Python type-ins also provide more general types. For example, if you just need a variable as an iterable, which could be list, tuple, or others, we can write it as follows. So this tells IDE that this nums variable can be list or tuple or anything else. So we'll not care of it. We'll simply run a loop on it and we'll print the numbers. This is one of the most important part, and this will help you a lot in writing code. Using type-ins in Python function can make them more readable and self-documenting. Let's make a simple function with type-ins. So I've created an example which is basically a greeting function which takes it as a name and returns hola, the name. In this example, the greeting function takes in a string argument name and returns a string. The type in for argument name is str, which specifies that it should be a string. The syntax for defining the function's returning variable type is arrow type. So the other case wherein our function itself, if we are writing a decorator in Python, then we want our variable to be of type function itself, that it should be a callable, wherein we have a callable class in typing, which basically defines that it's a function and it should be called. In this case, I am taking a variable func and giving it and assigning it a type of callable. I'm starting and then look at here, I'm calling it, then end, and basically same thing, and I'm simply calling this function and lambda expression here. So this is how you can tell the function that it is of type callable and you need to call it. For complex type-ins, you probably don't like to write them again and again. In this case, Python is able to define an alias for a type hint. I'm importing a class type alias from typing, and then I'm assigning this, I'm taking a variable, then assigning it as dictionary, which will contain integer and string. I'm defining it once, and now I can use this again and again. As the example shows, we made an alias for the type dict integer string with the help of type alias. So we just need to input the alias whenever we need this type. The usage of type alias is introduced from Python 3.10 and it's optional. The following code also works perfectly fine without it. So the same code can be written like this as well from 3.10 onwards without using the type alias. Type hints for a class itself. We have covered variables, we have covered function types, so we are left with the class. How do we add hints to classes? So the classical way of doing is basically I'm creating a list node class. So I'm telling this constructor that it will take a variable as a parameter and it will be of type the class itself. But as I hover over it, list node is not defined. This is the error thrown. But in the upcoming feature of Python in 3.11, we can use self keyword instead of this, and it will work. As my current version is 3.10.6, it is not supported yet, but in the upcoming feature in 3.11, the self keyword will suffice to define the type of it. Sometimes a variable should be assigned to some fixed values. We can use literal from typing module to implement this. I have taken a very simple example, weekends. As we all know, weekends as Saturday and Sunday. So I will define it here that this weekend will only contain Saturday and Sunday keyword. And if I try to assign it Saturday, it will not throw any error. But in this case, if I'm trying to add Monday to the weekends also, which we want to ideally, but cannot happen because we have not mentioned it here. So this is how we can use all this knowledge that we have gained of type-ins to make our code readable, and the best code. Just by looking at it, people should get mad. Like they should fall in love with the code just by looking at it, and it should be so easily readable and understandable. Thank you so much, guys.
With this, we have come towards the end of our video. Thank you so much guys for watching it. I hope you liked my work. Please consider subscribing to the channel as more such content is on the way.